Hey guys, and welcome back to having a look at the shrine another week. Now before you're already going to compliment, yes, I know I look like a ghost, I'm a little bit transparent, my filter settings are acting up, but let's get back to here why we actually are here, which is going to be about the shrine. Now you can see this week's shrine is phenomenal for both killer and survivor. Let's explain a little bit why. Right, the first 4 perks we have on the shrine is going to be Prove Thyself, the Pebble, and we have Ruin alongside Play With Your Food. Now this is a phenomenal week yet again, both for killer and survivor. Now Prove Thyself is a very powerful perk. Why is it good? When multiple people are working on a generator, it essentially doubles the blood points you're getting. It's 50%, 75%, and then 100% more blood points that you get from working on a generator with a partner. Let's talk about numbers. Generator takes 80 seconds to do, providing you're doing Ruin. You're versing somebody with Ruin, and you land every Great. Now, that counts into the fact that you get no bonuses for landing a Great against Ruin. So it takes 80 seconds to do. 2 people on a Jenny takes 45 seconds to do. 2 people on a Jenny gives a penalty of 10%. 3 people on a Jenny gives a penalty of 20% towards productivity, and then 4 people on a Jenny gives a 30% penalty. Now, the penalty... words are hard. The penalty, not the penalty, but the penalty to multiple people working on generator is just so Jennies don't get done way too fast. Now, this being said, Prove Thyself does not activate when you're by yourself. It is in a radius of 4 meters around you for your allies to work on. It doesn't really increase in radius. It's not as big as Leader, don't get me wrong. But if I'm working on a generator and we both finish a generator, you're looking at 1,250 points for just finishing a Jenny if you land no grades. That's instantly doubled, and then you get co-op work on top of that as well. You're looking at a, 3k at least from doing a generator with one other guy. You can get even more than that if you're landing grades. So just keep that in mind as well. So it's actually a very, very valuable perk. It allows you to do generators 10% faster with multiple people. So if Jeff and I are both on a generator, instead of it taking 45 seconds, we lose the 10% penalty. Now you're going to be able to notice this because if you're on a generator with another player and you're working on it and then you use a brown toolbox, that little red arrow at the bottom of the screen above the bar will disappear. That means there is no benefit to productivity and there's no negative benefit. Obviously 2 people on there is going to work faster than 1, but you're counterizing every kind of penalty you're going to have. If you had socket swivel as well for an additional 5%, you'll see a little yellow arrow saying you're going better. If you had Thanophobia, you'd see a negative arrow saying you're going back a couple of percentages on how fast you're working, or you might be asleep and Freddy Krueger might be running add-ons to tremendously slow effect, etc. However, 2 people on a generator, 3 people on a generator, 4 people on a generator, only 1 person can use Prove Thyself. If I have it and John has it or Jeff has it, neither of it, we both get the bonus from 1 player. It doesn't go to 20%, it goes from 10%. However, it does stack. If I'm running a Commodious Toolbox, which is 15% faster, I'm running Socket Swivel, which is 20% faster, I'm running Resilience and No Mither, which is 29% faster, and then I'm using Prove Thyself with Jeff on there, I'm working 49% faster myself. So that's 49% of the 45 seconds, which is essentially half. So now I'm doing a Jenny in 22.5 seconds with just my side of the work. Remember, Jeff's working too, but Jeff's working 50% slower, faster than that as well. So keep in mind that I can cut time off that too based on how fast Jeff's working too. Therefore, the Jenny will be done in less than 20 seconds. And that's if we're not landing greats. We're landing greats, we'll preserve a charge and we'll get more work done on a generator. So Prove Thyself is very good when it comes to looking things like possibly gen rushing the killer if he's camping somebody on the hook and you want to be able to keep pressure on everything. That can help you out a lot, yeah? You keep in mind it takes 60 seconds to hit struggle and then 60 seconds to die from struggle, and it takes 80 seconds to do a Jenny. It's not including travel time or travel fares. That being said, 2 people on Jenny, 45 seconds. Prove Thyself, 40 seconds. You can really pump out Jennies. The time a killer camps 1 guy to death without Prove Thyself and working together, you can get 3 Jennies done and he still has 20 seconds left before he dies, if you're all doing one thing. So it's really, really easy to outplay a killer that's camping by that kind of thing if your team is actually switched on and understands numbers and works. And that's without a toolbox. With a toolbox, it'll be done a lot quicker. Remember, you can have a Commodious, you can have an engineering toolbox, you can have so many really good options there. Obviously, don't use an Alex toolbox on Prove Thyself. You can do it for a little bit of a bonus, but you get a major bonus when it comes down to savoing with that toolbox. Alrighty guys, moving on to the next perk. Do I recommend that perk as well? Yes, it is a Dwight perk to unlock at level 40. Dwight is not a DLC perk kind of character. He comes unlocked for everyone who buys the game. Therefore, if you want to level him up, you can get it, don't get me wrong. If you don't want to level Dwight up because you're not interested in Bond or Leader, then yes, you should pick it up. However, look at the other perks this week too before you make a decision. The next perk on the shrine is called Diversion. Now, Diversion seems really good, but at the same time, it's not, okay? When you're within the killer's tear radius for 45 seconds and not in chase, it's a long time. When you're in the tear radius for 45 seconds and not in chase, so if you're looping him, it doesn't count. You get the pebble. Now, the pebble can be used to throw, which gives the killer an indicator of a location where a skill check will be missed. Could have been self-care, could have been a savage hook, could have been a generator, could have been a locker jump. It'll leave scratches around there, and it's used to distract the killer, right? A lot of really good killers aren't going to fall for it. It's very hard to use and work with. Now, if you read it here, it says the killer only gets a notification if they're within 10 meters. That jumps up to 20 meters, I believe, at tier 3. It's not a magnificent perk. It takes too long to generate. You can't generate it during chase. There are so many damn better options. You're better off with Iron Will. You're better off with Dance With Me. You're better off with Quick and Quiet. Like, there's so many other options. Freaking Alert, you know? Like, there's a lot of good things in there, chat, but this perk is a hot miss. I would skip this perk. It's a level 30 teachable perk by Adam, and I would not recommend it in the slightest. It can be a fun perk to use. If you throw it near a hook and the killer goes to look right beside the hook when he's camping and you borrowed time save. You could do some cute things. You know, you're at the shack, you run around the shack, you throw it at one of the lockers and you walk to the corner, killer comes running in and checks the locker, you walk out and you're gone. I've done it a few times. It's magnificent when it works, but to get it to execute perfectly can be very difficult in a match. It can be good if a killer's looking really, really hard and you throw it somewhere and you just urban evade away, but that's not really my playstyle. I prefer to loop the killer. Moving on to the next perk. This is by far what a lot of people classify the best perk in the game. It is called Hex Ruin. I do not agree with it being the best perk in the game. I think Pop Goes the Weasel is the best, followed by Discordance, Thrilling Tremor, Thrilling Tremor, Infectious Fright, and then Agitation, or possibly Barbecue and Chili. They're my top 5, but definitely Pop Goes the Weasel's better. Now, Ruin is like rolling a dice. Say you need to roll a 6 on a dice. You pick it up, there's a 1 in 6 chance you're actually going to get what you want, okay? Ruin is a totem that is lit. Now, basically, when a survivor lands a skill check, they need to land the smallest bit, which is great, for no benefit. If they land the good bit, there is a penalty to the generator. It gets regression by 3, 4, and 5% of how much of the generator is done, and the productivity stops for like 1.5 seconds. So you see a lot of people miss a Ruin skill check. They'll let go and they'll jump on it. How do you know if he has Ruin? There'll be a symbol on your far right-hand side of the screen that'll let you know he has Ruin. Also, the skill checks will be red, and you'll have to land them. When you miss a skill check, you'll see sparks coming out of a generator. Killer can use that for information as well. The sparks can be seen very, very far away, as opposed to somebody working on a generator in an area that can't be seen by the killer as well. And the sparks can be seen through fog as well. Now, Ruin is, like I said, rolling a dice. It's on a totem. It could spawn in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the open, on a hill where somebody could break it in 10 seconds, and then you've wasted a perk. I like Pop Goes the Weasel better, and I actually like Corrupt Intervention better. That gives me kind of like, I have 120 seconds to get shit done. Pressure, map rotation, pallets, hooks, cycling, and I know, I have a timer for 2 minutes to know what I need to do, as opposed to Ruin could last for 1 gen, could last for 10 seconds, could last for 5 gens. It is a good perk. I recommend Ruin on killers like Michael Myers, who move at 105% movement speed to give you that stall to get out of tier 1, to give you 115% movement speed, and allow you to stalk a little bit more. I can also recommend it on the Hag now and then, alongside recommending it on the Trapper, people that need prep. Now, don't get me wrong, I run it on the Billy now and then, depending on my build. Sometimes I run Ruin, Pop, Thrilling Tremor, and Enduring. My other substitute to that, to my rank 1 build, is Infectious Fright, Pop Goes the Weasel, Thrilling Tremor, and Corrupt Intervention is what I choose to run at rank 1. It depends on where I am, how comfortable I'm feeling. Do I see 4 toolboxes? Then yes, I'm going to put on Ruin. You know, it can be good on the slower killers, like I was saying earlier. People like the Huntress could work with it too. It is an okay perk, but just remember, if you run this, you're rolling a dice and you're relying on luck. You could get lucky, you could not get lucky. Running more than 1 totem perk, you're relying on a lot of luck. I do see Ruin entwined a lot with Haunted Ground on people like the Spirit. I don't know, man, sacrificing 2 perks to that, I personally would rather Pop Goes the Weasel. You know, you got stability from Make Your Choice if you know your pathing and your rotation. You've also got things like Thrilling Tremor, Barbecue and Chili for situational awareness, Strider for tracking. You know, there's a lot of really, really good options, so just be mindful when you're doing it. You're running multiple totem perks, could really catch you out. Moving on to the next perk. This is called Play With Your Food. Now, Play With Your Food is one of the best perks in Dead by Daylight, if you know how to use it, okay? How do you use Play With Your Food? Well, first of all, it gives you a token once you find your obsession and lose chase. You get 3, 4, and 5% movement speed buff. Now, if you know what 5% movement speed on a killer, like the Trapper, he moves at 115% movement speed. An additional 5% is the equivalent of Bloodlust, therefore making you have been in chase for 15 seconds, a permanent buff on you until you hit somebody, or you swing your weapon. Therefore, I will be walking through pallets, and I will be using spacebar to break them, as opposed to M1. Spacebar doesn't count as swinging action, therefore I can constantly break. Much like the chainsaw. People do not understand a lot about play with your food, okay? So it's going to take me a little bit of time to explain it. It gives you that movement speed. It stacks up to 5 times. I see my obsession Jeff, and then I see Jane, alright? So I run in, I look at Jeff to start chase, and I can either hit Jeff and look away to end chase to get the movement speed, or I can hit Jane. If I can hit both of them without chase ending, I will get a stack. If I get a stack, because chase ended, then I hit him, I lose the stack, but then I reinitiated the chase. It does have a cooldown in between how quickly you can get stacks. So if I have 1 stack, and Jeff's running around, and then I can get an M1 on Jeff, I'll M1 Jeff as long as I know I'm going to get a replacement stack, and then I'll probably rotate away. The movement speed can be phenomenal. Now, people like the Hillbilly move at 230% movement speed while they have their chainsaw revved and out. So while he's revving his chainsaw, the Billy doesn't get any penalty, okay? He doesn't get a penalty to having bloodlust. He doesn't have anything. He's not like Leatherface. Now, with the Billy, you pull up your chainsaw and you let it go. It will consume a stack of the token. However, you will be moving at 235% movement speed until you finish your chainsaw animation. So you can go around the map 7 times if you had Moonshine and freaking whatever, maybe spiked shoes for double turning. You can go around the map 7 times and you will still be moving at 235% movement speed until the chainsaw finishes. You finish the chainsaw, then when you chainsaw again, you'll be at 230. So just keep that kind of thing in mind. This perk is the best perk in the game for Leatherface. Now, I've seen people run it on the Plague. It can be used if you're making everyone sick, getting stacks, and then walking up behind everyone and M1ing them. Takes a lot of time. You get asked susceptible to gen rushes by good survivors as well. Keep that in mind. I do not recommend it on the Plague. I recommend it on Leatherface. Now, why is this Leatherface's god tier perk? It is a Michael Myers perk, as you guys know, unlocked at level 40. I really recommend it on Leatherface for a couple of reasons. Leatherface is one of the only killers in terms of who has a lethal. In fact, I think he is the only killer who has an instant down, who slows down when they pull up the chainsaw. So not like the Billy. The Billy pulls up his chainsaw and he doesn't lose movement speed. Leatherface, when he pulls it up, he slows down. He slows down to about, 96% movement speed. And now if the Billy does slow down, I'm not 100% sure if he does when he pulls up his chainsaw, it's much less noticeable as Leatherface, than Leatherface. Now with Leatherface, with 1 stack of play with your food, you will notice that when you pull up your chainsaw, you don't move slower. You're moving at the same speed as a survivor, which is about 100%, 103%. You'll be right up behind him. You'll let go of the chainsaw. Now, if you know anything about Leatherface, you'll know he has an add-on called the Beast Marks. What does the Beast Marks do? When you release the chainsaw, you move at a stable increase of movement speed until the end of the animation. Having play with your food gives me Beast Marks. Does it stack with Beast Marks? Yes. Now, if you know me, I'm an add-on list rank 1 killer main with over 7,000 hours, but I do run add-ons when I'm not Prestige 3, and maybe if I'm versing, SEAL Team 6. That being said, when you pull up your chainsaw and you release it with Beast Mark, you move at the stable movement speed. If you had Moonshine, when you pull up the chainsaw and release it, you move it a bit faster than a bit faster than a lot faster. So you'll notice while you go through the animation, you move a lot quicker towards the end, okay? So it's pretty damn good. If you ran Beast Marks and play with your food, you would be moving so freaking fast. You wouldn't want anything like Moonshine. You want Tuning Guide or Primer Bulb for the speed increase if you actually revving the chainsaw quicker. You're going really quick. Now the trick with Leatherface is once you have 1 stack, you can chainsaw almost anything. Very, 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 very rarely should you be M1ing. Keep in mind, if you pull up your chainsaw and you try and break a pallet with it, it will consume a stack of play with your food. So what you want to do is you want to walk up behind somebody, and when he baits out the pallet because he thinks he's super smart and then runs around again, you can walk up right behind him and chainsaw him before he can get back to the pallet. So many of the small jungle gyms you can do that at. Do not lunge. If you lunge M1, you've screwed yourself. You lose a stack and you only hurt him 1 stage. If you're putting him in dying state because you need a Pop Goes a Weasel stack from the M1, sure, go for it. Just be mindful of your stacks. Very rarely will you get 3 stacks to play with your food. I see a lot of people overcommit to tunnels on their obsession to try and get 3 stacks. I normally just M1 my obsession once and walk away. 120% movement speed's great. Don't get me wrong, 130 is better. 135 with Bloodlust is nutty, but hitting somebody once and then rotating, he's not going to expect you to have play with your food and have no penalty for pulling up on the chainsaw. And then if you are running add-ons, you become really well. So I see a lot of people that think Leatherface is a bad killer. This is one of the perks that makes him a very good killer. Not a god tier killer, but a very good killer, alongside Territorial Imperative if you use it correctly, if you see more than 3 people without items. But anyways, guys, that's going to be all for the shrine. If you want to pop in by the live stream, I'll be able to hopefully teach you guys some more about Dead by Daylight. I do stream DVD 3 days a week, and I variety cast twice on Twitch as well, so pop by and say g'day. Anyways, guys, I will see you in next week's shrine video. In conclusion, I would recommend picking up Prove Thyself if you didn't want to level Dwight and you already had Ruin, and if you wanted to play Leatherface, Play With Your Food would be ideal. Take care, guys. Play With Your Food also, before I leave, is very good on killers with instant injures. Killers without instant injures, it'll consume tokens too quick. I'd rather save the best for last on killers without instant injures, but just keep that in mind. Alrighty, guys, take care, and I will see you in the next video.